Welcome into 11 Personnel presented by Monticello Bank. I'm Nick Roush. He's Adam Luckett. And today we're here to talk about Kentucky football. That's right. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of off-the-field stuff, numbers, champions, blues, NILs, all this other stuff. You know what? We're talking ball today. That's what we're here to do, and we're doing it thanks to our friends at Monticello Bank, long-time presenting sponsors of 11 Personnel and longtime supporters of the people around Kentucky. Since 1895, Monticello Bank has been putting people first, because at Monticello Bank, it's where people matter. They've got a location near you. They're in 15 counties across the Commonwealth, 21 different locations. And if you can't get to one, you can always visit them online at nbcbank.com. I know it's shopping season. If you're looking for new homes, check out the mortgage rates they got at Monticello Bank. They'll take great care of you there. They're taking great care of us here on 11 Personnel. Monticello Bank, where people matter, member FDIC, equal housing lender. I was hanging out at spring practice today. Luckett, he's in the spirit for opening day. How are we feeling about the Red Legs, Mr. Luckett?
You know, today really is the Michael Scott meme. No doubt about it. Ready to get hurt again. Right, day one. Anything can happen. Anything is possible. Every player is going to hit their expectations or go above. No one's going to come short. And then we'll see how this. But the big 162 is here. Excited to watch the Reds. I think they got a chance to make some noise this year. So we'll kick it off today with the Red Sox, and should be a fun season. Enjoy this one because they're probably going on strike next year. We probably won't get an opening day in the March.
See, and that's the part that I think really sucks for baseball, is that even a guy like me who doesn't care much has got drawn in by last year's World Series. It was an awesome series between the Blue Jays and the Dodgers, and then you had the World Baseball Classic. Baseball has so much momentum, yet there is inevitably going to be some sort of strike that looms down the road, and it's all the Dodgers' fault. So, Mark Story. How do you feel now, Mark Story?
you ruined our summers, Mark Story. Thanks a lot.
I have enjoyed keeping up with the Batcats, reading along you and JD's recaps. I especially loved Jeff Drummond just describing the slog that was Tuesday night's 4.5 hour, 3.5 hour, whatever long game. They made 1,000 pitching changes, but on the road to LSU this weekend. So that's a big one. Still that one. You feel pretty good about where Kentucky sits in the SEC. But this isn't a baseball podcast. That's Pump It Up. This is a Kentucky football podcast. We're going to talk a little recruiting. We will dabble in the roster numbers that were shared with The Athletic. And we're mostly here to talk about ball. And today we got to chat with the offensive line. Cutter Leftwich spoke with the media for about 10 minutes, followed by Lance Hurd, Oas Alanen, and one Colton Price, which, we kind of joked, off air about Colton Price. He just looks straight out of Central Casting. Man, when you meet him, it's everything you thought he was, he is. I mean, he looks older than Leftwich, to be quite frank with you. I mean, he is a man's man. He stood at attention during his presser with his arms behind his back. I mean, this guy, the only reason he wasn't somewhere bigger before is just because he's shorter. He's probably listed at 6 foot. But that man is he's all about his business, and he checks a big box for this Kentucky offensive line. You've got to have at least one married man on it. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
So you're saying his truck would fit in over at the farmhouse parking lot?
Yes. Or the farm. It's a great callback with all the big dualies in the back.
Yeah,
the stacks.
The stacks. Yeah.
Well, he said, if football doesn't work out, he'll get into cattle ranching. And he's like, I'll have to slim down because that poor horse couldn't carry me at 310, 312. But all joking aside, the reason why that maturity is important is because you need to have players with the capacity to be able to perform in a pro-style system. And most importantly for Will Stein this spring, it's the C word. Communicate. They're communication. They are pounding that drum, and having an experienced veteran making the calls with Kenny Minchie. I think it starts there and then kind of spreads out, Mr. Luckett.
Yeah, I think, you hear all the time spring is fundamentals, just kind of building cohesion and just getting your baseline level established. So when you get out there for fall camp and spring OTAs or whatever, now that you're able to run and you don't have to take a couple days just to get everybody on the same page. It's interesting because obviously they're not doing they're doing there's no starters. We're playing different guys, whatnot. But obviously when you mention that, you do want to get like Colton Price is going to be your center. Minchie is going to be your quarterback. I imagine you're going to want them together a lot.
I think so. Yeah.
In practice. So especially I'm not sure how that system works. Is the quarterback handling the protection calls? Is it on the center? Now, I don't even know if they've gotten too far deep into that yet, but you want them to get on the same page specifically. But I do think it was important, Minchie, first-time starter, having a guy like Price, who I think can be one of the best starters in the conference, or best centers, in the conference this year. That obviously helps. And then when you consider you're going to have a brand new guard playing next to him, when you figure that Tegra Chabot is on that right side, you're going to have a brand new starting left guard for the first time. Having him there, I think, is going to help them, really help solidify them, I think, in the middle.
I will say, if you are among the diehard Kentucky football fans who's trying to discern who the other starters will be outside of Tegra, Colton Price, and Lance Hurd, good luck. They are sharing absolutely nothing, mentioning zero names whatsoever. I know like Fleming the other day wouldn't mention any returners. Outside of Jay Bateman, there hasn't been a lot of these guys are standing out. I mean, Kenny Minchie shouted out a couple of receivers, but particularly in the offensive line, we're not really getting anything. I thought it was noteworthy that Allen has spent more time at tackle than guard. He's played both throughout his career. And, it's hard for me to just eyeball and say guard or tackle. I know he's not as big as Malachi Wood is, that's competing for that right tackle spot. I haven't been able to size up Mark Robinson in person, but it seems like they're at least going to try Allen in at tackle. Maybe he's a rotational guy. But it is, I think, a good thing, though, that they have options. The other part, I don't know if this is just a mistaken, he just said it wrong, if it was a slip of the tongue, or if it's true, because Tegra was a right guard at Ohio State, and Stein mentioned him at left guard in his conversation with KSR. So, maybe it's looking for a right guard and a right tackle and just having those experienced guys completely on the left side of the line of scrimmage. But from a just look at, we'll just be candid here, right? This whole blue-white team stuff, it sounds a little coach speaky,
You think?
It's a little on the coach speaky side. However, I do think there are some real benefits of doing this during this portion of the install, the learning curve, that whatever you want to call it, because everybody's learning something new, and when you don't, they can't rely on relationships to kind of get them through. They have to over communicate to make sure that everybody's doing the right thing that they're supposed to do on any given play.
Yeah, and you have to consider a lot of these players never played for these coaches before. It's not the SIG thing where he brought 20 players from James Madison, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, did he? I don't even think he brought Oregon. Do they have an Oregon player on the roster? I don't think they do from last year.
Nope, zero.
So, yeah, most of these guys have not played for these coaches outside of the guys in Anwar's room that are back, Anwar in the defensive line room, and outside the guys that were on that Florida team, Jordan Castell and Aaron Gates, when Alan Brown and defensive coordinator Jay Bateman were both in Gainesville. So, yeah, from that aspect, I do think, and they talk about it all the time. It's just these are, you even talk to players, I think these are kind of the slog practices, the spring. It's exciting when you first get out there, and then it's just because it's fundamental driven.
Yes.
And in this year, this version of it, everything's new. So they're trying to teach, feel like the coaches are trying to teach their standard,
Yes,
just how they practice, and trying to get that, hardened and established right now, so they're not having to do that this summer. So from that aspect, you can see kind of the blue-white thing, and I think also the theory or the practice behind it, in my opinion or my view, is just it doesn't allow players to kind of just settle. All right, I'm not starting this year.
mm-hmm.
I could put it on put it on cruise control.
Yes,
I'm out here busting my ass. Spring practice number 10 when I'm not going to start anyway. So it keeps, I think, keeps players organically more engaged. And
correct.
So I think that is why you do it. But ultimately, like, you've got to there's some positions or at some spots where you need guys to get reps together. An offensive line and quarterback center, that obviously stands out as one of those.
And I have a hunch that will happen. Maybe not next week, but the week after. We are currently on spring practice number 6, just wrapped up. And Lance Hurd said today that there were a few brawls in practice, which I love to hear. More fights in sports, the better. That means the competition is high. And I don't think you were getting that in previous spring practices. And it's also the second one back from spring break. It's really their second one in pads, so I think it's going to naturally be more intense. It's probably going to turn into more of a slog a little bit later down the road. Now it's fresh. Guys are out trying to prove themselves. And the way that you mentioned that standard, Luckett, the standard is we're not taking any time off. Grant Godfrey said they had 3 breaks during Stoops practices. They have 0 breaks during these. You can grab some water while you're waiting in line to go to the drill, but it is just one thing to the next, to the next. Before team period, they're blasting the music. Guys are getting their team hyped, and then they go out there and play. And today, they got some pushing and shoving and shouting at each other. And I love that intensity because we talked about this a year or two ago. They weren't really doing a whole lot. And what does Will Stein say? You got to play football to get better at football. That's what they're doing right now. That's what they're doing.
Yeah. I think a lot of that, though, that was based off that heading into 24, how all them guys got injured in the defensive line room.
Mm-hmm.
Like Stoops believed, or at least publicly said that like kind of sank the season. Was all those defensive line injuries. Now, whether you believe that or not, it's one thing. So I think that's why, coming off last year especially, I could see why that's totally different. But it's also Stein, like, living up to what he said, right? He said there was going to be the hardest practice they ever had.
Mm-hmm.
Play, only way to get better at football is play football, yada, yada, yada. So you're seeing that. So you like when Grant Godfrey says that travels to me because this is his 4th year of college football, same place, 3 years of a new staff, 1 year of the different staff, or same 3 years of the old staff, 1 year of the new staff. And so obviously, yeah, I take that. I take a lot of, value from those words, because that's got to be true, because he's seen it. He's been around. And so you got to acknowledge, just like we've been saying, really, since this happened, everything is going to be different. Not saying one way is right and the other way is wrong, but it's just so different. How they're operating in every facet is different over there.
I tried to ask Lance Hurd, because they've been talking a lot about how fast this practice goes. He played for a team that they're known for going pretty fast. It was like, well, how does the pace compare to the last place you were at? And he said, I don't want to talk Tennessee. That's the second Tennessee question. I don't want to talk about Tennessee. It's a stark contrast from the last Tennessee offensive tackle they got to transfer here. Where Gerald Mincy was already writing down the 50-point blowout. And you know what? His play did not back up the talk. And secondly, you know what? He's ready to move on. He looks the part. And he did at least acknowledge what Mincy did, and Mincy threw was significantly more shade. It's just the lack of complexity from Heupel's offense. It just doesn't demand as much from those guys. And I think that's part of what drew Hurd to the system. And then the other part, too, is just Cutter Leftwich is, I mean, he's basically one of them. He's a young guy. He gets in their face, but he's incredibly organized and he's straightforward. That seems to be what a lot of people like about him, is that there is much more like a two-way street, right, of how they communicate between the coaches and the players. If you read the insider notes that I posted the other day on KS Board, you probably saw this, but it's just the youthfulness of the coaching staff. You can feel the excitement and also the chemistry between the players. And it's sort of manifesting in these intense, high-energy practices. And we haven't got to see one yet, Lucky, but the clips we've seen have been pretty fun. That'll get you fired up.
Yeah, have you noticed when we're in there? It's a little inside baseball here. No pun intended for on opening day. But there is a UK person with like a professional, the camera there you got to hold like this with like the handlebars. Have you seen that?
Yeah, the steady cam. Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously like they're making all these packages and stuff.
Newfangled. Oh, yeah.
And so listeners were like probably saying, okay, cool, look it. You get to see a cool camera. Why do I care? I think how they're going to operate, and this is kind of, I believe, the Kirby Smart and Dan Lanning way here, right? I think we're going to get to see a lot more cool kind of behind-the-scenes content. Oregon, every game, I think, Nick, football, they had like the journey, like Kentucky men's basketball does.
Yes.
They had like these little short movies that you could go and watch after every game, and they're like 15 minutes long. It shows Dan Lanning speeches before the game. The talking
Colorado
to the team.
trash talk. Yeah.
The one that I remember I watched the one for Texas Tech because that was after Stein was hired. I was seeing if he was in it at all.
They had the Washington one where they missed the field goal 2 years ago. Was that right?
Yeah, it may
pretty
be
intense one. Yeah.
So like they're like those are like what they do. I think you're going to see a lot more of that, but what you're going to see less of is open stuff, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like we're getting an open practice.
Yeah.
They've given open practices to the media, at least every year I've been on, and longer than that. I believe they were talking about how Mummy used to let everyone could just walk in, go to practice whenever you wanted. And obviously that changes. So like, there's going to be things I think they're going to be really good at and open out, but there's going to be things they're going to be closed off at. And so like the practice
who's
stuff,
playing guard,
like who's playing guard. I'm sure injuries will be very closed off.
Yeah.
Other than the availability report and all of that. So it's just going to be different. And even like, it sounds like we're not going to get coordinators during the season. Like you used to be offense day Tuesday, defense day Wednesday. It sounds like, we're going to get Stein a couple times a week, which is how Georgia does it, which is how Oregon does it. So,
which won't be a big deal.
It's just going to be, that's why I mean, like everything's just different.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Not saying one way's right or one way's wrong. It's just a different way to operate. I think they're going to practice in the morning. They practice in the afternoon throughout Snoops in here. It seems like they're just doing the opposite of everything.
Which could be a good thing. And you know what else is a good thing? If you get your feet checked out. You should.
That's right.
You really should. Get your feet right with Lexington Podiatry. Look at how are your feet feeling while you're doing your running. I got a long run in on a weekday the other day.
I'm feeling good. I tweaked my calf last week. So
it's almost like the docs over there at Lexington Podiatry called it.
So that was not good. I had to take some time off. So now I'm trying to build up. I've got a long run scheduled for Saturday. So ask me next week how I'm doing.
Okay. I'll ask you next week, and I'll ask you to visit Lexington Podiatry. They've been Central Kentucky's trusted source for podiatric care for over 2 decades. Their goal is to diagnose early, treat fast, and improve your quality of life. You don't have to be an athlete. You don't have to be a weekend warrior training for a mini marathon. It doesn't matter what the case is. They'll get you back on the right foot at Lexington Podiatry. Go check them out. They're right over on Hamburg. You can visit them online at lexpodiatry.com. From complex issues to simple stuff like just getting your foot scanned for some orthotics, they'll take care of you. Get your feet right at Lex Podiatry. One other thing I wanted to mention about this week, like I know that they are really beating that drum on. I guess the ultimate question is all of this stuff that they're saying, how much are they backing it up? And from what I've talked to people at practice that have been able to see it, like this, a lot of it isn't lip service. Now, maybe it's a little over the top, but you feel the difference, the speed of it. And the part that I found intriguing is just the way that the offensive line is operated. They spent a lot of money on this offensive line, Luckett. It needs to be good. And people who watched practice a year ago and are watching practice now, they can see the difference. That's a good thing. I also think it's a good thing that there's no shortage of Kenny Minchie throw it long clips. Some of those times they're burning walk-ons who are, stuck out on an island in some bad situations. But the positive reinforcement is there. They're moving in the right direction, and it's just exciting. It's very exciting. Is it exciting enough for you to jump on that over 4.5 like it?
What's the juice on that?
-135 on BetMGM.
Yeah. I don't love the totals of when you've got to lay more than $1.25. I'll say that.
Yeah, well, it's not like 150.
It is not. But just give me the 5. Come on, what are we doing here? Can we? We'll both.
So you get the push. You want the push?
Yeah. Let's meet in the middle. Lower the juice a little bit. Let's meet in the middle. Yeah, I think
our friends at BetMGM did. Love me some BetMGM. Maybe you just wait till the tournament's over to drop those. I was like, I'm not ready to look at win totals yet. I'm looking at the Sweet 16 board right now.
Yeah, but I think that's a reminder. They have their own algorithm probably over there, and most people lose attention on the tournament, I would imagine, after the first weekend.
I might know a few people who have.
Yeah, locally that might be the true this year. But yeah, I can't see. It's already season win total season. It's a spring practice is winding up. Recruiting's going crazy. But yeah, I think this season, I'm glad you brought that up because I think it's good to kind of like set expectations. What do we think about this team? I want to see the team in person first before
yeah.
We haven't really got to see them. It kind of stinks that we're not going to get an open practice and the spring game, but we do get the spring game. I just want to see them and what they look like. Because I have some questions about certain positions and whatnot. And the schedule is just the tough part about the schedule, Nick, is it's just you get in a hole early. I think they got a lot of winnable games. I think kind of once you get to mid-October, it's just getting there and where you are. But in how like the ebbs and flows of the season look and how Stein manages a game and how they attack and all of that. What are good matchups for them? What are bad matchups for them? Like we knew Stoops, like the brand of football. Like I had a good feeling of how games were going to go. I felt like at least, and I think most people did. Like obviously the Tennessee one stands out, but then there was other teams like, how they matched up with Florida, both with Mullen and Napier, that those were good matchups. The Georgia games, you knew like, well, if Georgia's offense doesn't play well, like this thing is going to the wire, right? Because they're more than willing to get in the snake pit here with Kentucky when they probably shouldn't, when they probably should just like run past them. They're going to show their, get in the snake pit and show their manhood, basically. And so that's something we're going to, like with Stein, who do they match up well with, who they don't. Like defensively, this style of football they're going to play. Who does that go well against? Who does that maybe not go well against in the league, and all that? And then offensively, there's a lot of unknown to me with kind of the skill talent positions. I think there's a lot of betting. There's a lot of betting on, and this isn't even throwing the quarterback in. This is just wide receiver, running back. There's a lot of betting on this guy's good and explosive when he's healthy, but like, is that gonna play out right? And so we'll have to see. But I'd be surprised if it's if they go worse than 4-8. I would say. I guess sitting here today on March 26th.
Yes, but are they 4-win good or 6-win good? I'm kind of with you. A lot of it to me is going to be a wait and see for those skill players. I'm a bit of doubting Thomas in that regard, because you want to know, like, can this guy break a tackle and turn a 5-yard pass into a 12-yard gain? Will that 17-yard pass get caught in bounds? And then can they turn that into 35 and get you in the red zone? Like that. Those are the questions I don't know the answer to. Although we have heard a few encouraging reports, not just Grant Godfrey talking about this being the best offense he's seen. In the wide receiver room, there's been a lot of chatter about one returner we may have overlooked in DJ Miller. I know a lot of what happens in the portal hoopla, you get focused on all of the new shiny tools, the new shiny weapons, but you forget that DJ Miller was, if not the high, I think he was the second highest ranked recruit, a 4-star talent from the St. Louis metro area, who was injured, had a hamstring at the NFL camp, either a hamstring or a groin, didn't play until the second half of the season, really came along strong. And look, it's not just the physical tools, but they've remarked about his maturity. And this is one of those guys that during portal season, when you're talking about who you wanted to stay, who you wanted to go, Miller had a lot of promise. And it sounds like early on in spring practice, he's really taken a step forward.
Yeah, and in some ways, it's a repeat of last year. I know a lot of people were kind of tapped out with what was going on at spring practice last year. But he was one of the kind of guys everyone talked about, and people sat up in their chairs. I think when you asked when you talked to him about DJ Miller, and then he has
the meme where they go,
right,
yeah.
And then he had the soft tissue injury in fall camp that kind of put him behind. We didn't see him until the back half of the schedule and made some plays, but he was a big recruiting win for Kentucky. That thing went to the wire in that cycle, in the 25 cycle. Yeah, and he was a highly productive receiver. We've talked about him. I think even going in the year, once you kind of took a step back and looked at their portal haul, you knew, okay, they've got Nick Anderson here, they've got Shane Carr, but you knew DJ Miller was going to have a big role in this offense. They needed him to, and it sounds like he's making a pretty big splash, at least again in the spring. Nick, I think, if you were going to go to maybe your local bookie and say, I would like odds on who leads Kentucky in receiving yards, can you give me odds? I think, Nick Anderson's probably going to be who he tabs as the favorite. And I think you're probably going to get a plus sign next to DJ Miller. And I would say, give me DJ Miller for whatever,
honestly,
whatever your unit is.
You might even say like Nick Anderson at plus 100, because it's just hard to know. Especially when he's more of an outside receiver, right? Whereas they've talked about Miller playing inside and outside. So that part is intriguing to me about Miller's game. The one thing that I've also found to be surprising is the frequency of which Brock Kaufman has appeared in both highlights and in conversation with Kenny Minchie prior to spring break. To say he's overlooked would be an understatement. No offense to Sayre, because they have become very good in single A in recent years. I mean, Sayre's got a stigma to him. They didn't play football until 10 years ago? Chad Pennington basically started that program?
Yeah, I don't even know. They were just they felt like the school that would just go play the big schools in basketball and just get totally destroyed.
But right? I mean, just absolutely ran off the court, but they started taking football seriously. He didn't get looked at by UK initially, goes to Louisville, transfers back. But they seem to like him a lot. And tell me if this is fair or foul or not. He strikes me as the sort of I know you can't compare him to these guys because he's not white, but he has the Charles Walker Bouvier, this guy's not going to catch a bunch of catches every single game, but he's going to have one or two tough grabs in traffic that are going to be really important and make a big impact. That's kind of
or Fred Ferrier from last year.
Yeah, Fred Ferrier, great call. Just like a guy who's from the state who didn't get heavily recruited, but is just consistent, steady, and is there when you need him. And that, I think, it's hard to win if you don't have a guy like that. So that would be a significant develop, I think, for this pass catching group. But once again, this is me taking a little bit of information and trying to extrapolate.
Yeah, I think I'm not telling you to do this. You can do whatever you want, but here's kind of my take especially when I don't get to see it.
Yeah,
you've got to give it a little bit, but the large chunk of it should be what you thought about the player before, right? And it maybe adjust a little bit, but for Kaufman, I thought maybe compete for a rotational spot here, Nick, coming in for Kentucky. He's still young, so he's got a ways, some room to grow. But like the production is, it catches your attention when you read it in print. Over his last 2 seasons, 168 receptions, 2,723 yards, and this is the big one. you think like those are good. They're not like crazy. Like it's a little over 1,300 yards a year, but this is the one where I just go, good God, this is the Mamma Jamma number. 51 touchdowns over the final 2 seasons of high school football. So I was just like, okay, now competition.
Yeah.
All of that, right? Like Jason Patterson ran for 8 miles his junior year down there at Sneads. We haven't necessarily seen that translate yet. But with Kaufman, that does to me, that just makes your eyeballs get a little bigger when you see that some of the numbers he put up on a state championship team. And again, he's popping, flashing on top of putting up those numbers. So that gets your attention. Like the thing with Miller to me, like, I'm not super surprised that he's good or looking like a guy that can be really good because he put up monster numbers in St. Louis and a good high school program. So, of course, like that transitions. He was on that trajectory. So for Kaufman, I'm more of a wait and see. But there's definitely, there seems to be potentially something there. Maybe they kind of found something in kind of an undervalued addition, I think, in the portal.
Somebody asked this question on KS Board, and we're going to get to a lot of questions later on. Outside of Cash Daniel, can you think of another Class A football player to contribute to Kentucky in the last 10 years? If you went back far enough to Dennis and Derek Johnson, those obviously are in the mix, but I couldn't think of any.
Yeah, I think you'd probably, just off the top of my head, you probably have to go back to like the Brooks era, maybe even the Guy Moe era. What's Johnson Central? Well, Trent Bingham didn't really play when he was here.
Yeah, he was. That was 3A too.
I'm just going through
bigger. Abiselm, was he at Beechwood or was he at the other one?
He was at Simon
Oh,
Kenton.
so they're huge.
They're in the big class. I'm looking through. This is going to be hard to find. I'm already back to 2019 right now. Great. So here.
They're not few and hard.
What's West Jessamine? That's where Eli Cox went.
I think they're a little bit bigger. Western Hills for Wandale. I think they were 2A.
That's probably the one.
But yeah, you don't get that a lot. So it'd be great if Kaufman was able to contribute, really stepping up for the small schools. But hey, if you like what you're hearing, and we're obviously going to talk more Kentucky football, if it's enough to get you to jump on that line, you can get it over at BetMGM. They've got all the college football win totals for the power conferences available right now. They've also got all your spreads for the Sweet 16. Luckett's got his locks over on KS Board. You can get in on all the action. Just download the BetMGM app, and you haven't signed up yet. Oh, come on. Just jump on it now and use that bonus code on3, and you'll get up to $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. And on top of that, you're going to get 50% off an annual subscription to On3. Just use that bonus code On3 when you sign up at BetMGM. They've got all the best bets from futures, whatever's happening now. Just get on over, download the BetMGM app now. Make this March legendary. Make the college football season legendary. Do it with BetMGM. See BetMGM.com for terms, 21 plus only. U.S. promotional offers are not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, Puerto Rico. Got a gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. or 1-877-HOPE-NY. You can also text HOPE-NY. Also call 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona, 1-800-327-5050 in Massachusetts, 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa, 1-800-981-0023 in Puerto Rico. That first bet offers for new customers only, subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days in partnership with Kansas Crossing and Hotel. Make it legendary. Make it big. Do it big for the city. Download that BetMGM app today. All right, Lucky, we need to
also
yeah.
home run season. Anytime home run season.
Is that what's your favorite baseball bet? Because that is one sport that I have not gotten into. I know a lot of people are doing the first inning no runs.
Yeah, that's a popular one. I haven't really got into that and parlaying it. A lot of people like first 5 innings because that's just a starting pitcher run line you can get.
Mm-hmm.
I like the total basis bets. So 2 plus total bases. You can get a lot of players at plus odds for that. So basically, you need an extra base hit or 2 singles to get that. That's probably my favorite. And then obviously, I like the K numbers, like Hunter Green Ks. That was something I dabbled with last year.
Well, you're not going to be able to dabble.
I'm not going to do
that
that this year. Yeah, I'm not going to have that this year, unfortunately.
I just have the surgery in October. You dingbat.
Yeah,
we're not going
total bases is my favorite. Total bases is mine because it feels like those hit more. You got a better chance for those hitting rather than just home
doubles.
Run is just home runs is just so it's kind of hit or miss. Like
hit or miss.
No pun intended. You know what I'm saying though. They get just the game's a little too random for that. But like total bases, like you've got pretty much 4 chances for them to get. The one hit will do it, but sometimes 2 singles will do it also. So that's probably my favorite. 2 total bases.
Let's talk a little recruiting because that's one part of this spring practice. Kentucky, they've gotten a lot of guys in that facility. The question is, so which ones are going to sign up to play? I mean, there are plenty of very feasible regional recruits that you can say, okay, this checks out. Whether it's like Malachi Brown at Corbin, there's the linebacker from Indianapolis. Jalathan Mayfield is a top 5 linebacker from Georgia. North Carolina. Okay. That's a little bit of out of the typical territory. There was the kid, I can't say his name because it's the NG. If I see NG in a name to start it, I'm like,
it's from Germany. Marvin, Big Marvin.
Yeah. And he's an edge and he's living in the DMV. Is that right?
He's up in the Northeast. I think he's in Connecticut.
Okay.
At a prep school or something.
So you wonder, like, all right, what's the hit rate on those guys? Or like Ish Kamara from Texas? Like,
he's also from Belgium. He's from somewhere. France. Ish Kamar's from France.
So you're probably not going to get all those guys outside of the footprint, but you need to get one with recruiting, and it feels like we're inching closer to one because Andre Adams, he announced his commitment date will be April 11th, coming up right around the corner. 15th ranked quarterback in the class. Like we've talked about Andre Adams in the past on this program. Did the timing of his announcement make you? Did that move the needle in any direction for you towards or away from Kentucky?
I've got to be honest with you, Nick. I feel like I can read these situations pretty well. Like I feel like my hunch on these is usually pretty good. My hunch says it has said for a few weeks now that Adams is going to be Kentucky's QB in this 27 class, but I don't feel strongly about it.
Yeah.
Just because there's so many moving parts here, right? I do think Keegan Croucher is a guy they really like. He's committed to Ole Miss. He's going to be here this weekend. He's down in he's another Northeastern kid. He's going to Chattanooga Baylor School this year.
Big time program.
So, like, how firm is he in that Ole Miss commitment? Do they feel like they could get a flip here? And then there's other ones too. Colton Nussmeier obviously got the real close relationship. Israel Abrams is feels like a guy that they could maybe get. Jake Nalrot, the other kid from Chicago, he's probably going to Iowa. Like, Dad went to Iowa.
So. Yeah.
His sister, I think, goes to Iowa and is on the team and plays sport up there. Like, he's probably going to Iowa. I don't see necessarily that happening. Davin Davidson, Florida kid, was up. He's probably seems like Florida's got a lot of buzz for him. It's like Florida, Miami. He's probably going to one of them. So really, I look at it, you're looking kind of Adams is the favorite, but I think Croucher's kind of looming out here. And then you've got Israel Abrams and kind of Colton Nussmeier. Those are kind of the pool I'm looking at. I think it's going to be Adams.
Abrams got some Purdue buzz recently, which
they recruited him hard. They've recruited him really hard. They've got, again, I think it's important to remember. You just have to, like, if you're like, why is that school? First thing you should ask, what conference are they in? First thing, just ask what conference they're in.
Big Ten. They got some dough.
And if it starts with a Big Ten, if it's Big Ten, or if it starts with an S, you should be like, oh, that makes sense. Okay, that you could see that. So yeah, I think they're making a big push for him. Adams, he's just visited multiple times, right? He's on the track. What you would expect your commit to do, visit multiple times. If there's other guys that you're considering, he's getting out there early to make his decision. It sounds like it'll be, I guess, Kentucky or Virginia Tech. At least right now, those two seem like the favorites. So we'll see. I would advise people to just go watch his tape.
Yeah, what you did the other day.
It's fun. Like, you can see like how he could be dangerous at this next level. Specifically, like, he's a true dual threat, and we've seen, Stein dabble a little bit with it, more so with like Frank Harris at UTSA, and then Sloan was on staff when Jaden Daniels just went nuclear down there at LSU. But his legs, I think, could be a real factor at the next level, no matter where he ends up. And then just he's got really nice, I think, accuracy and touch on the football, throwing it. And he put up monster numbers last year in Nashville.
71% completion percentage.
Over 3,000 yards. I think he had 35 touchdowns and interception. And then you watch the tape and you see some of the playmaking and the potential there. Like, I was very impressed with what I saw and the little bit I watched from him, and then when I kind of dug into some of his data there. So we'll see. We'll probably start to learn. I bet we know before we get there, right?
Yeah.
But as of right now, he seems like he's been the favorite for a couple weeks now, and it feels like it's trending that way. But again, I don't feel like I have a great read of the situation. So
I'm just like waiting for something to convince me to put an RPM in. Like, I'm just like, it's just like there's something out there that's just I want to bite on the worm.
It feels like you're in the dunker spot. You're on the block. You've got numbers. You're just waiting for them to give you the ball. Like, once I get the ball, it's just a layup. But why haven't I gotten the ball yet? Why am I just sitting here? That's just kind of what it. Yeah. I think you're just kind of what it feels like. I think a lot of reason it feels like that is because, to their credit, I think Kentucky's credit, they have done a really, really good job of getting a bunch of guys and they're in position. I think if they wanted to push for any of these guys, they could get more than a couple of them, I would say.
So,
you got to credit to them.
To your point, that Croucher visit this weekend is going to be huge. And then we also learned, I know Elijah Haven, he's the number one quarterback in every other service except for Rivals, but he's still the top guy in the Rivals industry ranking. He's visiting the week of the spring game, not for the spring game, but one of those. It's either Tuesday or Thursday before that. So just being able to get these guys on campus is a testament to the juice that these guys are bringing to the program. But like I said, it's time
April 14th is the day Haven
there you go.
is visiting. We've got it in the spreadsheet, which we'll have updated here soon and up on the site. I think that'll be a post-spring thing. So we're tracking all the moves.
So you got to do the recruiting part, and to get to the finish line, you got to have the dollars and cents to make it happen. Kentucky is in the SEC, so they have an SEC budget. And as much as Mark Stoops complained about it a couple of years ago, where I think that budget was one of the few that was less than $10 million, that they are now towards the $25 million range. That number was leaked to The Athletic in a recent report about Champions Blue LLC and how it works. We'd shared kind of generally the range last year. It could be as much as $10 million more than what Stoops worked with for the 2025 football team. That $25 million mark seems about right, and it seems about like what you need to compete now, but it's only going to grow. So in my mind, it kind of reinforced the behavior that we saw in the portal, how Kentucky was able to take big swings on guys and get people like Lance Hurd here. And the other part of it is that, just generally speaking, that sort of rhetoric that got put out there, that was taken a year ago, and it bit Mark Pope in the ass all year long. So it's good to know that Kentucky has the money. I don't think Will Stein is going to flaunt it in the same manner because it is different in football. But in my mind, there's a lot of the sort of messaging from the folks at Champions Blue is that finding the dollars is not the problem. Getting it right is knowing where to allocate resources to make the best team possible, because the resources are there, which is, you know what? We've been wondering if they were there for a very long time. Mark Stoops made us wonder about it 2 years ago. They formed this Champions Blue thing. We were told it was this innovative thing, but we didn't know, like, hey, how is it going to work? And is the money actually there? Is this JMI thing going to work out? Will Stein, I don't think he would have taken the job if he didn't think the money was going to be there. They're making it known that the money's there. So go out and use that money to build a winner. Resources are not going to be the reason why this team is held back, which I know is a big concern for a lot of Kentucky football fans out there who were worried that rev share money they just wouldn't have as much because the basketball team would be taken from it.
First thing, no matter how much money you have, whether you're in the 1%, you're upper middle class, lower middle class, can't afford to miss on your tier 1 targets. So no matter how much money you have, if you're missing on tier 1 targets, you're going to be in a little bit of trouble. Nick Saban had said it perfect. You got to pay the right guys. Now, whether the right guys, whether that fits culturally or talent-wise or whatever, that could go different ways. If you don't pay the right guys, you're SOL. Right? It doesn't matter how much money you're spending or whatnot. I think for Kentucky basketball, that's kind of thing, in my opinion. Not to make this basketball thing, but you got to hit on the guys you need. Tier 1, no matter what. For football, I think they're at a competitive salary here.
Yeah.
And so as Merle's going nuts in there, he gets fired up about NIL too. You just have to have the money to compete. And I think Kentucky has that. And they have the pieces in place, I think, with the infrastructure, the GM front office, where they're doing a good job putting dollar values and not getting into bidding wars when they don't have to.
Yes. Now, it didn't work out for DeAndre Moore, but it could work out long-term if Nick Anderson stays healthy and is a quality receiver. If Shane Carr takes a step forward, it can work out just fine, that strategy. But it is, to go back to what you said off the jump about how things are different, if Mark Stoops was trying to get CJ Baxter, there would not have been a delay before his commitment. His agent would have asked for more money, and they just would have paid it. And then you know what? They might not have been able to afford Lance Hurd down the stretch, right? So, we're seeing a difference in philosophy, and it's just, okay, well, how does that look on the field? We've got a little ways before we figure that out.
Well, the Baxter recruitment, I thought, they're willing to ride that out. Now, what were the reasons and why did he come back and all of that when he's going to Kentucky, he's going to Indiana, he's going back to Kentucky. But they were willing to ride that out and willing to ride the wave. I think some coaches get in here, some staffs, for me just following it, are not willing to ride that wave sometimes. Yeah. And that's when you get in overspending, and that's where you can get into some trouble. But again, you've got to have money available just to be competitive and to get to the table. But evaluation still matters. It's not just, you got to be able to evaluate the players that will fit your system and that will fit your program, fit your culture, fit your locker room, all of that stuff. That's, probably more important than even just having money to spend. Exactly.
It's a piece of the puzzle. And for Kentucky football fans, I think there's just, if anything, an exhale that says, okay, they got the dollars to spend. Now go spend it correctly. Who helps with that too? our friend Joe Kraft. He's a friend of Cole. You can become a friend
That's
of
right.
Cole too. Visit friendsofcolekentucky.org to learn more about the coal industry in the Commonwealth and abroad. You don't have to be living right next to the mines to join. From here, far, wherever it may be, friendsofcolekentucky.org. They're there to tell you that coal's resilient, reliable, affordable, and here to help Kentucky in the future. Visit friendsofcolekentucky.org today. We got some questions on KS board to get to, some really good ones too. A couple doozies in here. If you aren't on KS board, KSR Plus, 50% off an annual sub right now during the spring sale. I believe it's over soon too. I think we only got a few more days. So if you've been thinking about it, get on it now. And if you're, we're sharing some insider notes from football, but Polachek's got a lot of scoop he's been scooping. He's in those agent circles. Wow. Those are circles like it. It's a lot. Glad Polachek.
He's the ice cream man.
Coming up with the scoop. Noah Go Cats asks, what's Sam Green's status?
Torn ACL.
Yeah.
We'll see. It's a big we'll see.
Yeah. But it sounds like he's very engaged throughout the rehab process, which is good. Bateman talked about him being a very vocal guy. So you hope he comes around. I mean, you had some guys in the past who had Achilles in the spring and were able to return in the fall. You hope that late injury in November doesn't push his timetable further back. Ideally, he's good to go, but you don't know. You don't know with those, which brings us to our next question.
The one thing before you give me on, I'll just say with Green, all you're really hoping for this year is can in October, November, can he kind of contribute a little bit, and then get a healthy full offseason next year and then be a guy for you in 27. So that's kind of where it's unfortunate injury because he was playing some really good football there for Kentucky before he went down.
Well, and that's why Adam, he asked how we feel about the pass rush and who are the guys on the edge. Can CJ Works have a breakout year? And that's the part that you would talk about. One thing that they aren't being clear about, how the hell this scheme works.
Yeah.
Because all the players who were edges, they're now considered outside linebackers. Grant Godfrey is now a buck linebacker. I don't know what that means. So I don't know. I do like that the sort of personnel that they have there, like McQueese, Humphrey Grace. He's got some great juice firing off the line of scrimmage, but I don't know. I'm just curious how. Is he with Tony Washington or is he with Anmore Stewart? I don't know how they're sort of delegating who is where at what spot, that sort of deal when it comes to the edges and their pass rush players.
Yeah, from my understanding of my novice defense, Buck is like a combo linebacker. It's you're 4-3, you're in a 4-3, kind of your Sam backer, where he's going to at times have to set the edge in the run game, but it's also going to be playing some stack off ball too. So it's kind of a guy who needs a combo linebacker, needs to do kind of two things. Buck, I've also heard Buck kind of be like a jack, essentially, right? Like a Cedric Works is like a typical jack, or a 4-3 defensive end, 3-4 outside linebacker. It just to put it in simplest terms possible. So it is going to be different. They are they're going to run a 4-2-5 and they're going to run some 3-3-5 and they're probably going to get into some other things. The main thing I think you need to know about this defense is what you're probably going to see: heavy simulated pressures. I mean, heavy. They're going to use a lot of simulated pressures. So what do you mean, Adam? That means rushing 4, but it's not coming from your traditional 4. That means dropping a defensive end, bringing a linebacker, dropping a defensive tackle, bringing a safety, just mixing it up. So they're going to use a lot of that. And then we've heard them talk a little bit, and you heard Stein discuss why he wanted Bateman, and you've heard Bateman bring up the same thing, is basically Texas A&M's third down package. That's brought up a ton when they start talking. Texas A&M, I believe, had one of the best third down defenses. And that's where I think what Kentucky's hopeful is that Bateman's bringing some of Elko's secret sauce here to that. And so he's going to third down. They're going to get, I would just say they're going to get exotic, heavy pressure, and they're going to really, and you hear pressure the quarterback, heat up the quarterback. That's going to be the basis of their defense. So for me, they're going to want to create, they're going to have pre and post snap movement. They're going to try to create tackles for loss on early downs. They want to get you in 3rd and 6 or better, and then they're going to bring the heat on 3rd down. Now with that, they're probably going to give up some plays over the top because they're going to be kind of in island coverage a lot. So again, get used to it, buddy, because it's going to be different.
Oh, I love the chat right now. It said, "What gets Mr. Even Keel? Never see him 2 up or 2 down about anything."
You get a couple beers in me, and we can talk about Phil Fulmer. You won't see much even keel.
Unless it's the street light that's flashing outside the KS office.
Yeah, that too.
Spurrier too. Spurrier will get Luckett going. And, of course, Shane Beamer, which when I saw Tomiwa Durajau playing for South Carolina, I was like, Tomiwa, wait, how do you still – 5 schools in 5 years? This guy went Kentucky, West Virginia,
too,
Florida State, Illinois, South Carolina. Like, he was pretty damn good at West Virginia. I think he got hurt at Florida State. But, like, he's been solid. He just doesn't ever want to stay anywhere. I don't – someone on the board said I'd love to see those transcripts.
I mean, if you're into traveling and see, like, to me, you're into traveling, you want to see, like, I like going to the different places, right? Going to different college campuses and seeing what they're like. He's just an expert in that field.
He can be a travel agent for college campuses. 603 Cats says that Minchie looks to be pretty good, but the depth. If we had to pivot to QB2 if he's injured, how far of a drop off in talent is that? Well, again, I've heard good things about Brennan Ward, but I'm sticking to my guns that they would go to Ponatoski, and I think he would be your best backup that you've had in a good long while. Good long while in Kentucky.
We believe Ponatoski will be here. You got to see it first, right, with the draft stuff. Ward's got a big arm. I think he's the clear QB2 right now. But, yeah, if Ponatoski's here, that my money would be on him becoming QB2.
This one's a good one from Christian N. Will Stein had 3 different iterations of his offense at Oregon. Based on 23, 24, and 25, which would you predict this year's offense to look the most like out of those 3 years? I think we can preface it by saying we're not probably experts of what Oregon's offense was in those 3 years.
Stylistically, I think Kenny Minchie has the most in common with the Dante Moore.
Yes. So I would think that would be the case, and particularly when you saw that the strength of their pass catchers, once DeCorian Moore and all those guys got injured, they had to rely on the tight ends a lot. I think you're going to see that quite a bit this year. And another person asked too in that thread, it was in there, just asking how they would use tight ends. You're going to see them splitting the slot a decent amount. I don't know how much. I know Kentucky was one of the higher usage rates in 12 personnel in previous years. I don't know. But you look at Michael Skinner, you look at Willie Rodriguez. Those are guys who can split out and create mismatches. Maybe not to the same level of Kenyon Sadiq, who's going to be a first-round pick this year, but I certainly think you're going to see that be the case for this offense this fall.
Yeah, I'm trying to the Oregon had a tailback. He was from Tennessee. He was the guy who beat the Way twins and ran for like 300 yards in the state championship game. What was his name? He was like an efficiency machine. He ran for, I think, 1,200 yards or something on the Rose Bowl team that had Dylan Gabriel. So he was awesome. And then Bo Nix just didn't take sacks. And they were really good with him, and they had some NFL receivers. Stylistically, I think just last year, Oregon had some receiver issues, injuries. They had to attack in different ways. You saw kind of 3 tailbacks all be involved. Tight ends got involved. To me, that's probably what it would look the closest to. It's kind of that offense. I think with Stein's tack, what you really need to be ready for is when they go tempo, they go balls to the wall. I mean, it is lightning. They're going super fast, and there's going to be one. Typically, like when I watched, it was like one series a game where they just went.
Yeah, light speed.
If you go back and watch Indiana regular season game, they hit Indiana for, I believe, kind of a deep, skinny post, and scored a touchdown off 4 plays, 80 yards, where they just went tempo. So they're going to do that, and they're going to take shots. And I think a lot of it's early in the game, vertically, and they're hoping to hit on one. If they hit on one, then they want you to get in prevention defense too high, and then they're going to hit you with smoke screens, receiver screens, a ton of that, and dump off to the backfield, and then obviously run it. And they're varied in kind of the run game, so that's what you're gonna kind of see. But for Kentucky, I just think from a flow and a feel and a game plan and presentation standpoint, Stein is the best they've had since Cohen. I don't think it's a bold statement. Like, he just got a very good, I think, feel for the game and knows how to attack and knows how to put his quarterback in good situations, knows how to cater to his personnel. So I think they're going to figure it out, and I think they're going to score points this year. And so I think that's what you should expect. But they're going to mix in tempo more than we have seen in the past, and they're going to take swings vertically down the field.
Hopefully they hit a few home runs. Happy opening day to all those who celebrate. I know you've got your locks. Look it for the Sweet 16. You got a favorite bet for tonight's game? Because I want crops over corn. Iowa, I think they're like a 1.5 point dog.
I'm all over Iowa. They've got the better guard.
Yeah, and Ben McCollum is awesome. Did you see his quote about they were asking him about the rigors of travel and stuff? And he was like, "Dude, I was in D2 and JUCO. I get to just show up and they get you on a plane. This is awesome."
Yeah, Brad Underwood had a similar quote. Asked about having to play Houston. He was like, "I was on buses to go to I don't know, Carson City. This is nothing."
That just atmosphere at that place is going to be awesome tonight with the Houston home crowd, and then Nebraska traveling, Iowa traveling. Like, that's going to be a huge game. And then, the East regional with all those coaches. So it's going to be a very fun Sweet 16. Best of luck to all your winners out there. We're going to have more football talk next week, likely on Thursday, because there is a small chance that we might get in to take a peek at a little bit of the spring practice. I'm jumping on KSR Tuesday and Thursday next week, so we'll have some more football chatter there. And you get to start spring break early next week, like it?
Yeah, we're actually. I think we're hitting the road Wednesday, so I'll be podcasting from North Florida next week and the week after.
Any golf in the forecast for spring break?
Yeah, I think next weekend we're going to get out and play. So
There we go. All right, more spring practice updates coming on Saturday. Will Stein and Morris Stewart, they're speaking with the media Saturday afternoon. We'll have plenty of coverage from that going into the evening and into the nighttime. We appreciate you so much for joining us. Until next time, he's Adam Luckett. I'm Nick Roush. Go Cats and go Kroger.